Vintage electric e-bikes review: big power and retro style without the sweat or spandex. Pedal assist cafe, throttle controlled roadster have us sold on electric bicycles. Portland is the only city in the continental United States with a volcano within its city limits. It's called Mount Tabor, and although technically a mere extinct volcanic vent, walking or hiking up to the top of its roughly 440 feet is still a decent workout. Those who bike up it are typically spandex-clad Lance Armstrong types or casual cycling sadists content to chug up at 3 miles per hour. I, on the other hand, pedaled up Mount Tabor at 20 miles per hour. No huffing, no puffing, no sweat, no spandex. That's because I was riding a vintage electric cafe electric pedal assist bicycle, and after a summer spent zipping around town without the typical cycling concerns of hills, going too damn slow and showing up to your destination drenched, I'm thoroughly sold on electric assist bicycles as a concept. And as for the cafe itself, it takes that concept much further with distinctive design, an overabundance of power, high-end componentry, and quality craftsmanship. You know, the very things that make our favorite cars objects of desire rather than just A to B consumer goods. There's another car connection to vintage electric, however. This story really starts in January when the company announced its limited edition vintage electric Shelby, a variation of its big battery, throttle-controlled roadster painted in Shelby's iconic blue paint and accented with the familiar Cobra emblem. It looked sensational, but not just because of the Shelby livery. It was the bike itself that really piqued our interest. Vintage electric offers two types of bikes, throttle-controlled with what are effectively token pedals, Roadster, Tracker, Scrambler, and Shelby, and the pedal assist bikes, Cafe and Rally, that run a motor when you pedal. I spent more time with the Cafe, which is the red one with white tires and accented with leather hand grips and beautifully finished wood trim. A few folks commented that it looks like Pee Wee Herman's bicycle. They're not wrong, but it's still distinctive. That movie is 35 years old, and you can also get the Cafe in Skyline Bronze with black tires and darker wood. I know I would. The real showstopper, though, is the 500 watt-hour battery pack nestled into the frame's V that can be removed for recharging or to prevent someone from boosting it. A replacement is $999. It's good for 20 to 60 miles of range depending on how and where you ride it, and the power level you're using. It also looks like a small V-twin engine from a vintage motorcycle. The 750 watt motor is mounted to the rear wheel hub, versus at the pedals. That output probably means nothing to you. It certainly didn't for me before testing these things, so let's put that 750 number into perspective. The typical electric assist bicycle's motor only has around 250 watts, including those that cost just as much as the Cafe or even twice as much. Now, to be clear, I am not an electric assist bicycle expert. This is only the second one I've ridden, but for what it's worth, the first one I rode had 3 levels of electric assistance. I deemed level 3 ridiculous and almost entirely rode around varied terrain on level 1 with the occasional dip into level 2. The vintage electric Cafe, by contrast, has 5 levels, and they sure seem commensurate. Its level 3 is just as ridiculous, meaning level 4 is absurd and level 5 is ludicrous, to borrow the parlance of another maker of electric vehicles. When I motored up Mount Tabor at 20 miles per hour, I was using levels 3 and 4. Going to 5 wasn't actually necessary. Don't just take my word for it. This is not bicycling, said my friend Liz, who used to commute daily into downtown Portland on a bicycle pre-COVID. I was going 22 and white-knuckling. And I only went to level 3. You almost have to wear goggles. Are there bugs in my eye? The speed can indeed be disconcerting, since the electric motor is effectively controlled like an on/off switch rather than a throttle. Whenever you pedal, the motor is at its max for the specified power level. So, regardless of how vigorously you're pedaling, it's giving its all. Doing so is nuts on levels 4 and 5 when starting off on flat ground. You'll be pedaling with virtually no resistance, yet the bike keeps flying forward toward its max speed of 28 miles per hour. It can be unnerving on a residential street. Vintage electric e-bikes review: big power and retro style without the